A lot of news in the QMJHL this week, and a lot of it centers around the two teams on the ice tonight. And we want to wish all the best to former Eagles coach, now former Eagles coach, Jake Grimes, stepping aside due to personal family reasons in what I believe caught everybody by surprise. We may get more information as time goes on. But I've been told that pretty much everybody just found out on Tuesday morning when the news was made public. So he will be succeeded by Eagles assistant coach Matt Anthony. Of course, Matt Anthony came to the Eagles the same time Jake Grimes did. You may recall in 2019-2020, it was an all-new coaching staff. The Eagles did retain goaltending coach Chuck Grant, who has since moved on to work to the Pittsburgh Penguins, but the other coaches all changed that year. Jake Grimes came in as head coach. Chris Culligan and Matt Anthony come in as assistants. Chris Culligan will stay on as an assistant, and John Hanna will fill the other role as assistant coach. Now, John Hanna, currently the Eagles' assistant GM, but now he'll be on the bench, and he is on the bench tonight. So you may recall back in the day, John Kabuke was an assistant coach with the Eagles. He was only on the road. Well, John Hanna is here on this road trip. So Matt Anthony, the new head coach, he was an assistant coach with the Newbridge Cole Harbour program in the U18 League in Nova Scotia in 2013-2014 and 2014-2015, and had a variety of roles with Newbridge as a prep school from 2015 to 2016 to 2018 to 2019 before coming on as the Eagles assistant coach. And I mentioned John Hanna was the Eagles assistant coach in 08-09 and 09-10, so he's done this job before. And of course, it's a new guy on the other bench as well. Jason Clark comes over from the Shawinigan Cataracts. Prior to the 2021-2022 seasons, Clark spent 12 years as head coach of the Junior A Carleton Place Canadiens before jumping over to Shawinigan. And I've mentioned a couple times, it's interesting, he's actually seen the Eagles more this year with Shawinigan than he would have if he coached with Bathurst. The Eagles have only played Bathurst once. They've already played both their games against Shawinigan. So, again, two new faces behind the bench. I'd say the other biggest news in the Q this week was the nationwide news, the reveal of the Team Canada training camp roster for the World Juniors. In total, 8 QMJHL players there, not surprisingly, almost all forwards. 18-year-old Xavier Bourgault from Shawinigan, 19-year-old Maverick Bourque from Shawinigan, 18-year-old Zach Dean of Gatineau, 19-year-old forward Elliot Donnet from Halifax, 19-year-old forward Henrik Lapierre of the Bathurst T10, 18-year-old forward Josh Waugh of Sherbrooke, 19-year-old forward William Dufour of St. John. The lone Q defenseman invited is 19-year-old Lucas Cormier of the Charlottetown Islanders. In total, 21 forwards, 11 defensemen, and 3 goaltenders invited to camp. Speaking of World Junior participation, a player almost certainly to be at the World Juniors has been added to the St. John Sea Dogs roster. They have picked up Jan Kuznetsov, a second-round signed draft pick of the Calgary Flames. The Flames had him with the Stockton Heat in the AHL, but they've decided to assign him to St. John. He had played 12 games in the AHL this year. Last year, he played a few games in the AHL, but primarily played with UConn in the NCAA. So this is a big add to the back end of the St. John Sea Dogs. It's interesting, too, because Ryan Francis had played with Stockton earlier this year. He was sent down, so a distinct Calgary Flame flavor, along with Jeremy Poirier on the back end there in St. John. Another piece of big news this week in the Q, I guess not technically news yet, Quebec Ramparts head coach Patrick Waugh indicating an interest in the general manager position for the Montreal Canadiens, which of course was where he made a lot of his fame playing in the NHL. That would certainly cause an effect on the Ramparts organization. They'd be in the search for a new coach, and it's interesting to see if Waugh would step away right away, given the fact that his Quebec team is challenging for the President's Cup this year, but that's a story to keep our eye on. Trade in the Q to tell you about, 20-year-old forward Jeremy Martin has moved from Shawinigan to Victoriaville in exchange for a 12th-round pick in 2022 that could become an 8th-round pick depending on certain conditions. This year, the 20-year-old forward has 2 assists in 8 games. 19-year-old Quebec defenseman Edward Cornwyer has been given a 1-game suspension for slashing. This year he has 14 points in 23 games. Notes about injuries around the QMJHL. We talked about already on the broadcast. Eagles forward Lucas Canning not on this road trip. 1 assist in 19 games. He is out with an upper body injury. We talked about the situation regarding the 3 20-year-olds for the Eagles as well. A few other notes around the league. Val-d'Or defenseman Cale McCollum is out day-to-day with a lower body injury. He has 16 points in 22 games this year. Victoriaville forward Loic Dagg is out day-to-day with an upper body injury. 14 points in 22 games for him this year. Now, the Teague are expected, well, they will be playing at Center 200 on December 9th. We'll see whether Dagg is back in time for that game. A couple of returns to tell you about. Drummondville's Edward Charron returning to the lineup last night. The overage forward having a bit of a slow start to the season, 3 points in 14 games. So we'll see if he can get going now that he's back in the lineup. Victoriaville is also expecting for Justin Drandra to return to the lineup. He was the 14th overall pick on the Q draft this year, 1 point in 18 games thus far. Q's team of the week, 19-year-old forward Samuel Johnson is there, and he's also the player of the week, and on the CHL team of the week as well. You know, he had a big game in Cape Breton. He had 8 points in 3 games this past week. 18-year-old Sherbrooke forward Josh Waugh with 7 points in 2 games, and 18-year-old Halifax forward Zachary Leroux with 6 points in 2 games. The defensemen of the week both made the CHL team of the week. St. John's William Villeneuve had 5 points in 2 games with a +4 rating, and 19-year-old Blainville defenseman Miguel Tourigny had 5 points in 3 games. The goaltender of the week is Gatineau's Remy Poirier, who had a 2-0 record, .934 save percentage, and a goals against average of 2. Thriller and heartbreak at the Capital City Challenge in Ottawa as Team Canada Black winning 5-4 over Team Canada Red. The tying goal coming with 1 second left from Zach Benson, and then Colin Richter, the OT hero, as Black defeats Red in the final. So that means silver for the Eagles defenseman Emile Perron, who's playing for Team Canada Red. Number of Q players on the winning Black team: Rimouski forward Mal St-Denis, Halifax forward Logan Crosby, Baie-Comeau forward Vincent Collard, Shawinigan defenseman Jordan Tourigny, and Drummondville defenseman Matteo Rotundi. So congratulations to those guys. New CHL Top 10, the Winnipeg Ice still holding at number 1. Top-ranked team in the Q is Charlottetown at 6. Gatineau is at 7. Sherbrooke is at 9. Honorable mention is the Quebec Ramparts. Unfortunately, no CHL scores to tell you about outside the Q last night, and I say unfortunately because Sudbury was supposed to play against Sault Ste. Marie, but there is a COVID-19 outbreak with the Sudbury Wolves. 12 players testing positive, so best wishes on a healthy recovery for the organization.